I'm Eunice with Humor Mill.
Eunice!
And so I'm doing an interview with Kraig Smith. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having me.
So this is my first time meeting you officially. I'm so impressed with your space.
Thank you.
So one of the first things I want to ask you as a stand-up who seems to be creating a whole new lane for yourself, what inspired you to invest in space, equipment, the setup, from just going from the stage and a microphone?
I felt like my point of view in life was underrepresented in entertainment, specifically comedy. You know, if I'm being brutally honest, I felt like in the world of comedy, it was built on the backs of people who are losers, meaning like the really obese or the really skinny and unattractive or something that's really weird about you. You know what I mean?
And then what's your point of view?
My point of view is the everyday working man. Okay. I'm not the best looking guy in the world. I'm not the ugliest guy in the world. I'm just somewhere in the middle. Mm-hmm. And so I represent people who pay taxes, who may struggle. You know, the man or woman who may love their spouse, but they may be a little bit irritated financially by where they are in life. And, you know, maybe they just, their head's a little bit below the water, but they're good people. That's the attitude I represent, which is something that has a little bit more zing to it. You may cuss when you're not supposed to cuss. Mm-hmm. You may say things that would be blackballable, but you don't really, you know, mean any harm by it. You're just being honest and expressive as to what you really feel inside. And, you know, I try to be the voice of the everyday working person, man, male and female, gay, straight, whatever you are.
So you basically pride yourself on saying the quiet part loud for most of us.
Right. I pride myself in being a part of something bigger than me. So I feel like if I have to say something that makes me the sacrificial lamb for a period of time for people to understand what the hell is really going on, then I don't mind saying that as long as it's something I feel that could help somebody.
So when you say sacrificial lamb, that's kind of like the cancel culture. You're not afraid of being canceled.
No.
Because if this needed to be said and it can help somebody, or if it's what I really feel, then it's worth it.
And I go back to driving trucks and own my own trucking company again. I don't care about none of that.
So when you say you're like the average person, I would say in the short time that in talking to you, I don't think you're the average. You obviously have a really great natural curiosity about things. You know a lot about a lot of things. Right. Obviously, well, for me, I feel like to be a stand-up, you have to be intelligent, well-read, well-versed. All comedians are not. What is it that you think when you are reading or studying or learning and you start crafting it into how do I present it? Because whether it's through your streaming or your podcast or on stage, when you have a concept or you learn something and you want to educate us, right, through entertainment, do you have a specific way that you decide how do you do that or where you do that?
I do. So there's two comedians who I think were some of the greatest comedians to ever tell jokes. And they didn't really get along. One of them just passed. His name is David Arnold.
Yes.
And one is Corey Holcomb.
Yeah.
Both legendary.
Yes.
But they didn't really get along well. But I learned something from both of them who are dudes I highly respect. David Arnold told me that what is the joke saying? It's not necessarily about the specifics of the joke, but what is the overall moral of the joke? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And then Corey Holcomb said, whatever that is, say the opposite.
Okay.
So that's a part of my formula is just, it's not necessarily about the story, it's about what's being said. And I connect things morally, you know, based on morals and the underlying as opposed to looking at the obvious. And that's been my whole style of thinking my whole life, but it took me getting into comedy to understand that that's how my brain parallels things based on what it's saying and not necessarily the obvious shit within what's being said.
So when you're on stage, do you find yourself having to, I don't want to say dumb down, but do you have to make it more digestible for your audience so they can get the point of what you're saying? Because sometimes it's like so nuanced or, you know, do you find yourself saying, let me package this in a way more people understand it? Or are you specific to say who gets it, gets it?
No, I don't concern myself with that because I'm building myself from the underground up, which is a strategy that I chose on my own to position myself in a place where I'm standing on a body of work that I created. You know, I'm just now getting to the point where I want to be like a Marlon Wayans or, you know, a Mike Epps, some of these bigger, talented, legendary comedians. Now that's something that I aspire to, but I spent the last decade plus just figuring out who I am as a comedian and what I'm trying to say, because, you know, I got a lifetime, you know, to try to be a superstar. If that's in the cards, I really don't give a fuck.
Right.
It's just more about making people laugh. And the reason, one of the early reasons, well, a couple reasons I got into comedy early, because I wanted to make my mom laugh. You know what I mean? So when I always draw from that, because she went through so much as a black woman, trying to, educated black woman, being overly educated and never really being paid or valued at her level. I would always make her laugh when she had her struggles. So that's what I think about when I crack jokes. Is what the hell would make Donna laugh?
I love that.
So I stick to that script, and everybody else could eat a booty.